You ever have someone look you dead in the eye and just decide your whole life belongs to them? Because that's how it started for me, right on my own damn gravel driveway. Eleanor Scott, yeah, the so-called president of the Silver Willow HOA, fixed me with that look of hers and goes, "Jacob, this house was promised to my son. You're just holding it for him." And for a split second, I genuinely wondered if I'd slipped into the Twilight Zone because my granddad built this house before she or her little club were even a blip on the map. But Eleanor, she said it with the kind of smug certainty that makes you realize some folks really do believe their own stories. And that was just the opening act. I wish I could tell you that's where the craziness stopped. Hell no. It kicked off a nightmare fake finds vandalism in the night, threatening letters in the crown jewels, someone forging my deed, trying to steal everything my family ever left behind. But listen, I'm Jacob Turner, and I'm not the bow down and take it type. Especially not when it comes to the last thing my granddad ever gave me. You want to know how bad it got? Picture the sun coming up over Silver Willow Lake, mist curling off the water, just birds and the distant sound of someone starting up a bass boat. I'd pull up to my grandfather's old cabin, now my cabin, thinking maybe, just maybe, life had finally settled. But peace in Silver Willow is about as rare as a winning scratch ticket. That old house, it's nothing fancy. Smells like cedar lake water and pipe tobacco if you breathe in deep. Every plank creaks in a way that brings back 100 memories, me a scrawny kid stealing cookies while Grandpa whittled ducks at the window. It was ours, paid for, no mortgage, no strings. At least that's how it was supposed to be. But the neighborhood changed. Used to be fishing shacks, now it's glass mansions and pontoon parties. The new folks brought money, and with money comes the HOA. Now here's the legal twist, Grandpa's place. Built 23 years before the Silver Willow Lakeside Homeowners Association was even a dream. County records said it plain pre-existing properties weren't subject to new HOA rules unless you chose to join. Guess what I never chose? Didn't matter to Eleanor. She liked power more than facts. Eleanor strutted around like she was queen always, with the salon hair and that pinched bossy voice. I'd seen her handing out fines like Halloween candy, wrong porch chairs, license plate frames, even ticketing a guy for improper mailbox color. Legend in her own mind, that's what she was. But I never thought she'd come for me. Not until that afternoon I came home juggling groceries and heard those high heels click, click, clicking up my driveway. There she was, clipboard and all. "Jacob Turner, we need to talk about this house." I just stared. "What about it?" She clapped her hands together, nails all polished. "This home was promised to my son, Aiden. When he turns 18, you'll need to vacate. Start planning now." I almost dropped my eggs. Promised by who? Not me. By me. The HOA has plans for lake access, and my son will be part of that. I just started laughing. "Ma'am, my family's owned this place 50 years. HOA doesn't mean you get to hand out people's houses." She didn't smile back. "That's not how this works. You're surrounded by HOA properties now. That means you follow community standards." I just shook my head. "No, it means you're surrounded by me." She stalked off heels, stabbing the dirt, and I figured that was the end of it. Boy, was I wrong. 3 days later, a violation notice taped to my mailbox. Non-compliant exterior hardware front door knocker. I don't even have a door knocker. Then another improper lawn maintenance. Grass excessively wet. "Lady, the grass is wet because I live next to a damn lake." By week's end, I had a pile of fake citations. All had a made-up Silver Willow HOA Enforcement Division letterhead. But there was no such division. She was making them up herself. That's when I remembered Grandpa's old rule document, everything when you're dealing with bullies. I started a binder. Letters, envelopes, timestamps from my mailbox camera. Guess what? Every fake letter came from Eleanor's personal P.O. box, not the HOA. She'd gone rogue trying to paper me into submission. Pretty soon trash showed up in my yard. My mailbox got smashed. "Get out" spray painted on the sidewalk. That's when I called Marcus Hale, a local lawyer with a dry sense of humor and nerves of steel. Marcus took one look at the pile and smirked. "She's either stupid or overconfident. Let's make her regret it." We filed police reports and a cease and desist spelled out the law. My home predated the HOA. Their covenants meant nothing to me. It worked. For a bit. The street went quiet. I started sleeping better. Then one night I caught Aiden and his friends on my dock up to no good. I turned on the floodlights, yelled, and they took off. Filed another police report. Even the deputy said, "You're not the first to complain about the Scotts." That's when it hit me. Eleanor wasn't just being a pest. She was testing how far she could go. A week later, I get a stack of final notices. Failure to comply will result in forfeiture of property rights. She'd actually typed that like she was the law. This time, instead of tearing them up, I photographed every page from my binder. Marcus and I took it to the county office. There, tucked behind the legit deed paperwork, was a brand new quit-claim deed transferring my property to Aiden Scott, my signature and all notarized by someone whose commission expired months ago. That's when we learned Eleanor had been submitting bogus transfers on other properties too, trying to move old parcels into the HOA's control on paper. We put a freeze on my file, no changes without investigation. But Eleanor kept at it. She sent a handwritten note, "Transfer the deed voluntarily and I'll make sure you're compensated. Otherwise, don't blame me for what happens next." Marcus told me, "Keep everything. We're building a racketeering case." That summer, the vandalism got worse. Security cameras caught Aiden, caught Eleanor lurking in her SUV, caught every little trick. Word started spreading that I was under investigation, that I was some kind of tax cheat. Eleanor was poisoning the well one neighbor at a time. Then the forged deed kicked off a real investigation. Marcus found out the notary's stamp was stolen. The DA opened a forgery case. The feds got interested once mail fraud entered the chat, and suddenly the Scotts were in real trouble. The final straw, a USB drive left in the mud by the dock, Aiden's confession apparently. The drive was full of Eleanor's own templates, fake citations, letters, even the forged deed metadata and all. It was the smoking gun. The night the cops came, it was pouring rain, thunder shaking the glass. Eleanor rolled up in her Lexus, clipboard in hand, screaming about community emergency protocol and storm inspections. I called the sheriff. The squad cars showed up fast, cuffed Eleanor in the mud, Aiden trembling beside her. She yelled, "You can't arrest me. This is my neighborhood." And the deputy just said, "Not anymore, ma'am. They found the stolen notary seal in her house." The DA charged Eleanor with forgery, mail fraud, harassment. She ended up facing a stack of felonies. Turns out she'd been pocketing fine money from a half-dozen other homeowners, forging deeds and grooming Aiden to take her place. The HOA board dissolved. Neighbors came out of hiding, some apologetic, some just relieved to see her go. But of course it wasn't over. Even in jail, Eleanor tried to spin her story, blaming me on local TV, claiming she was framed, saying I doctored the evidence. The internet ate it up. Suddenly, I was the villain in half the comments online, getting hate mail from strangers. Didn't matter. The court had everything: my binder, the USB audio recordings of Eleanor coaching Aiden, instructing board members, laughing about how the police only respect paperwork. Her conviction was swift. 22 years, no parole. The county turned the old HOA office into a garden. My property was declared permanently independent, and Aiden, he left town, tried to start over. I hope he learned something, I really do. You'd think that would be the end, right? But fear doesn't just vanish when you lock up the person behind it. The neighborhood split. Some folks wanted a new HOA. Others never wanted to hear the letters HOA again. I stayed. Rebuilt fences, repainted the porch, let the house breathe again. The wind off the lake finally felt clean. But every once in a while I'd see a light flicker by the tree line at night or find a chalk message telling me to leave. I just smiled because after all that, nobody's running me off my land. Not now, not ever. The real lesson: silence lets bullies grow. Eleanor's empire was built on good people keeping quiet. If you're dealing with someone like that, an HOA president, a boss, whoever, start your binder, stand up early. Never assume that just because someone has a title, they've got the truth on their side. If you made it this far, tell me, where are you watching from? Ever gone toe-to-toe with your own Eleanor Scott? Drop your story in the comments and hit subscribe if you want more true tales like this, because in HOA land, believe me, there's always another storm rolling in.